the luck of the draw really if your horse is out on the field and they drive by.
So the council came up with a plan to build stables where young people from the surrounding estates could keep their horses safely at a cost below what a commercial stables would charge. The Clondalkin Horse Project was built on the city's western edge, just across the ring road from Cherry Orchard. It opened in 2017.
What's this fella's name here?
That's Pandora.
Pandora, right, because he looks like a panda, I see, with his two black eyes, is it? And his white face.
No, just lacy, just
oh,
like
right.
like too far into it. It's a 3-acre site that we're currently standing on in front of you. You can see the goalpost there in the public park next door. They took the other half for this site, the council, when they went to build it.
And big stables over here, obviously. How many horses can fit in here?
We have 20 stables, so we've 10 at the top of the barn and 10 at the bottom of the barn. My name's Rachel Marr. I am the development manager for Clondalkin Equine Club. We are a livery yard for children between the ages of 10 and 18, and the difference with us to other urban horse projects is the children actually own their animals here. So we work with them in a personal development capacity and support capacity to enable them to look after their horses correctly.
So if this wasn't here, where would the horses be?
The horse in front of you, she came from a housing estate. Anywhere where there's a little bit of common land with a bit of grass, with the building going on in the area, it's become harder to have somewhere to keep a horse.
Was it difficult to get this type of project up and running?
It took the best part of, I suppose, over a decade of campaigning from community for the council to have buy-in.
Are there any low-income earners that have horses here? Because obviously it would probably cost a lot of money to first buy a horse and then to maintain having a horse.
If you were to keep it in a commercial livery yard, obviously that would be out of the reach for a lot of people, especially low-income households. I mean, it can be anywhere between €110, I think, is the cheapest I've seen recently, up to €160 for full hunting livery.
So are you subsidised here? Do people pay, just some of it, or do they pay the full whack?
They pay €35 per week or €152 a month, and that covers fairly much their stable and their feed. It's not subsidised because we're not for profit. We just do things as best we can and keep our other running costs and operational costs as low as we can,
What's your name and what's your relationship to this place?
My daughter Ellie is here, a good few years, but she's studying now at the minute, so we're hoping for my younger daughter now to take over her stable. She's in the process of the training now. She also does the horse riding and all on a Sunday morning, so she's the next generation, hopefully. It can be a rough area, so like for a kid to have something like this to come to relax, do something they enjoy, it's brilliant, and on your doorstep.
Do you think this is a good compromise, we'll say, to having it maybe in the back garden or on the green?
100%. I had one of my horses in my back garden in a stable, but you're not meant to, you know what I mean?
What's your horse called?
She's going to take over your Eddie's horse though, Blue Ivy. We do it more places like this. As I say, there's not a lot in this area, so for something like this to be here is great.
There's little doubt that the commercial side of horse ownership in Ireland is likely to continue to be an important part of the economy. The tradition of working class people keeping them in cities is a little less certain. Development means there is less and less space to keep them, and the authorities sometimes need little excuse to take them off to the pound. But there seems to be a determination among people living on the housing estates that this is a part of their culture and everyday lives that they're not willing to let go of just yet. Assignment was presented by me, Katie Flannery. The producer was Bob Howard.
This is the BBC World Service, on the road with the Health Wagon.
Our mission statement is to provide quality care to the medically uninsured here in the Appalachian Mountains.
The top stories live from the Sky News City studio. The UK's biggest North Sea oil and gas producer blasts the energy windfall tax after its profits are all but wiped out. The brickmaker Forterra reports a jump in profits but warns demand is continuing to fall. Entain, the company behind Ladbrokes and Gala Bingo, eyes expansion into untapped markets around the world. And the legendary music producer Sir Robin Miller on what businesses need to do to attract more people with disabilities. Good morning, this is Ian King Live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. Now, the biggest North Sea oil and gas producer, Harbour Energy, has blasted the energy windfall tax after its profits were all but wiped out. Harbour's full-year pre-tax profits came in at $2.46 billion, up from $315 million in 2021. But profits after tax were just $8 million compared with $101 million the year before. Well, Harbour's chief executive, Linda Cook, said the UK Energy Profits Levy, which applies irrespective of actual or realised commodity prices, has disproportionately impacted the UK-focused independent oil and gas companies that are critical for domestic energy security. For Harbour, the UK's largest oil and gas producer, it has all but wiped out our profit for the year. This has driven us to reduce our UK investment and staffing levels. Given the fiscal instability and outlook for investment in the country, it has also reinforced our strategic goal to grow and diversify internationally. Now, the government's been called on to urgently publish its long-awaited semiconductor strategy, or risk missing out. Semiconductors are an essential part of modern electronics, but the industry is dominated by companies in the US and Southeast Asia. A joint report by the Institute of Physics and the Royal Academy of Engineering says Britain needs to tackle a skill shortage and lack of funding. We're joining me now is Richard Price. He's co-founder and chief technology officer at Pragmatic Semiconductor. Richard, welcome to you. I mean, you set the business up about 12 years ago. How has government support changed for the sector in that time?
So during the early parts of the business, we were very well supported to do the technology development. And we also worked with the high value manufacturing catapult. That helped us to transition from the lab into pilot scale. The challenge for a business like ours is really the next stage. Because semiconductors is very capital intensive, we've had to raise about $200 million, over half of which is for capital investment. If we were in other countries around the world, we would have had much more support in the cost of that capital that would allow us to invest more into people and to make more quicker progress overall. So
production is not very easily scalable in this country?
We simply don't have a base of this kind of advanced manufacturing. We did play in semiconductor manufacturing at some scale back in the 80s and 90s, but since then, the kind of appetite for investment has just not been there within the UK.
What happens to most of your product? Do you export the majority of it, or is it for domestic use?
It's both. We do a lot of work with overseas customers, but we do see big opportunities for domestic markets, particularly because of some of the unique things within the UK. For example, the NHS. So within the NHS supply chain, but also next generation healthcare. So things like wearable smart patches for preventative medicine, as well as applications for assisted living, where we're all living longer, but we're not necessarily living better. So we think we can play a part in that. And the other areas that we see as well is because we work in applications for supply chains, particularly making those more digital, things like frictionless borders, we have a technology we think can really address that opportunity as well.
There's a big debate going on in the US in particular about a need to get more chip production domestically entrenched, particularly given concerns over China's behaviour potentially towards Taiwan. Why isn't the UK government taking this as seriously as the Americans?
I mean, I think there are several reasons. People probably don't know that about 80% of the advanced chip manufacturing for products is in Taiwan. So one of the reasons that the US and the EU have had their own CHIPS Acts is to try to bring that production back into the West. The challenge for the UK is that we don't have that base, so we don't have the skills and the supply chain and infrastructure at that advanced manufacturing scale. We also don't have the appetite for the scale of investment. These are billions or tens of billions of dollars of investment that's required. But we do have some very good capability that are globally unique, such as the flexible semiconductors that we developed at Pragmatic, and other areas such as in the South Wales cluster and compound semiconductors and some of the new materials like graphene. So we can play to our strengths. That doesn't require tens of billions of dollars, but it does require a strategy and an optimistic and bold leadership from the government.
You mentioned South Wales there. There's obviously a row presently going on over the future of Newport Wafer Fab, which is the UK's biggest constructor in this field right now, over its takeover by a Chinese entity. What are your observations on that?
Well, it's actually a Dutch entity with Chinese owners, so it's an Nexperia, and they also have a facility in Manchester, which hasn't been sort of part of this discussion. I actually feel really sorry for the people that work there in South Wales. This has been an ongoing saga, not just in the last year, but for the last few decades of changing ownership and lack of investment. They've finally seen some investment going into that facility, and now there's a great uncertainty again. So I think what we need there is clarity, a decision, and I think what's been left is a vacuum. I think that needs to be filled quite quickly.
In a word, then, should that takeover be allowed to go through? The technology they have there is not, in my view, necessarily sort of military critical, but it's not it's not for me to say whether or not it should. All right, good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Some other business news stories for you now. And the insurance giant Aviva warned customers today that they can expect increases in premiums this year, insisting it will take the necessary actions to price appropriately for the inflationary environment in 2023. Well, the company's general insurance business in the UK and Ireland reported a 5% drop in annual profits, which it said reflected a return to more normal levels of claims following the end of the pandemic. Both Direct Line and Admiral have recently highlighted the cost of rising motor insurance claims due to the higher cost of car repairs. Well, Aviva reported a full-year operating profit of £2.2 billion for 2022. That was up 35% on the previous year. The medical products and technologies company Convatec has reported a full-year operating profit of $404 million for 2022. That was up 11.6% on 2021. Well, the company, whose products include wound care dressings, needles, cannulas and colostomy bags, said it had enjoyed strong demand for new products launched during the year, including a new catheter for men. Convatec, which employs 10,000 people around the world, said that after exiting non-core hospital care and related sales during the year, more than 90% of its sales now came from products helping to treat patients with chronic conditions. Shares of Spirax Sarco fell by 5% this morning after the FTSE 100 engineering company reported a 2% drop in full-year pre-tax profits to £308.1 million. The Cheltenham-based company, which is a world leader in the manufacture of steam management systems used by companies in sectors such as food production, drug making and oil refining, cited accounting charges and a loss on the disposal of its former businesses in Russia. The profits were up 12% on an underlying basis, which the company said reflected a resilient performance in a volatile geopolitical and weakening macroeconomic environment. Now, in the UK, there are around 4.9 million disabled people in employment, but figures show disabled people are more likely to be self-employed than non-disabled people. Well, Sir Robin Miller is chairman of the disability charity Scope, and he says it's because disabled people are less likely to be offered jobs. Well, Sir Robin has founded multiple businesses, and he's also chairman of Chrysalis Records, and he joins me now from Marrakesh. Sir Robin, good morning to you. A depressing scenario you've sketched out there. Why do you think that's the case?
It's a question of confidence. I think we haven't had thank goodness we haven't had our Me Too moment or our George Ford moment, Ian. But so it has to be incremental. I think it's a question of companies looking at the stats more than anything else. Scope stats, all the great work that Accenture have done, which shows you that people with disabilities, they tend to do better in exams. They contribute to the workforce to the point where the more inclusive a business is, the more money it will make at the end of the year, the less turnover of other non-disabled staff, almost exact opposite of their perception. It's just a question of perception and a mixture between fear and awkwardness and some wrong information about the costs and the difficulties of employing people with disabilities. I'd like to go further, Ian, if I may, and just say, I cannot think of a disability that is so profoundly disruptive that it would not lead that person to make a positive contribution to a company.
I mean, it's a really shocking waste of talent, isn't it? I mean, what can companies do to try and attract more disabled people to the workforce?
They need to quite simply learn a few quick inclusion tricks. Where you recruit matters, by the way, and you can get great advice from Scope, from Small Green Shoots, from Purple Space about how to word adverts to be positively welcoming. I myself think it's quite useful to, on interview panels, and make it very clear on the interviewing that you already have disabled people in the workforce, because you want people to come forward and give of their best. And if they look at the company, and if they look at what's on the company website, what's on the adverts for the job, the sort of people that they're showing already working and thriving, it's no more complicated than that, Ian. They'll walk forward and they'll say, do you know what? Exactly the same as I think with people of colour and single parents. If they see that the place already acknowledges and knows that they will be welcome, they'll come forward and they'll thrive. And of course, my opinion is that once you give single parents, people with disabilities, a job and a chance, that we are tenacious, we're resilient, we're very determined. Interesting fact, Ian, on average, people with disabilities get 1 grade higher in university exams.
Wow. What sort of work are you doing at Scope to try and address the situation? Do you have a lot of contact with employers in particular?
We are. We're rolling out simple, ready-to-use toolkits for very large employers and, of course, equally important, small and medium-sized employers. These are very simple toolkits about how you create a safe space, how you advertise, exploding the myths, how you as an employer get access to work to cover any costs of adaptive technology, working with people. Very, very simple. The real reason I'm very glad to come on here this morning, Ian, is that I think a lot of people will have seen in the news that Scope has been working very hard to include disabled people in consideration for the government's support of the increase in fuel. And of course, there are good reasons, because there are quite a lot of disabled people who need electricity on 24 hours a day for equipment. But you know what this tends to do, Ian? This tends to lead people to a default view of disability as people who are at home and unable to contribute. And so as chair, I'm balancing really supporting people with disabilities who need extra support and help, whilst really maintaining a more positive view of who disabled people are. There will be disabled people in your studio, Ian. The sadness is that 8 out of 10 people with what we call hidden disabilities choose not to tell their employer or their colleagues.
So, Robin, it's a pleasure talking to you today. I'm sorry we have to leave it there. Hopefully catch you again in the future.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Now, over recent months, there have been a number of high-profile cybersecurity incidents, including a hack on Royal Mail, which left it unable to send parcels abroad. The Lloyd's of London insurance market has forecast that the global cyber market will almost treble in size, from £12 billion last year to £35 billion by the end of the decade. Well, the cybersecurity company Red Helix is launching an education programme for schools to teach children coding skills. Joining me now is Marion Stewart, who's the chief executive at Red Helix. Marion, welcome to you. What was the impetus for you doing this?
A couple of things, really. Firstly, getting talent into the tech sector is difficult. Finding enough people with the right skills to come and work in that sector is always a challenge. But an even bigger challenge is getting people from a socially challenging background into the sector. If you look at the numbers of students coming out with STEM education and qualifications from socially underprivileged backgrounds, it's actually very low. So we wanted to try and do something that addressed that and caught it early in children's lives.
Is there enough in the general curriculum about coding?
No, there isn't. And I think also it's not very practical. I think children find the curriculum not very engaging. And so what we've done is built a programme that combines coding with engineering and design, and a real output of something that's tangible for children to try and engage and pique their interest, really, show them a bit of what's possible. It's very difficult for children to be what they can't see, and I think children who come from underprivileged backgrounds don't have the same access to those career potentials and futures.
What about the teachers themselves? Is there enough of a skills base in Britain schools and colleges to teach kids this stuff?
I think it's probably varied. I'm not an expert in the backdrop of teaching and how they qualify, but in my own experience with my children, it is varied. And coming through primary schools, the level of understanding of mathematics and coding can be at a very basic level, and it's really difficult to inspire and drive passion in children in their early education if you don't have a fundamental understanding of the building blocks.
I mean, I can imagine some teachers saying, hang on, we're already being expected to teach kids how to read and write and spell properly, teach them the basics of maths as well, and now you expect us to teach coding as well. I mean, do you think coding ought to be seen alongside reading, writing and arithmetic?
Absolutely, absolutely. If we aspire to, be a leading influence globally for the long term in the tech sector, we need to get coding much more mainstream in the education sector. And I don't think it needs to all fall on teachers either. I think businesses like ours at Red Helix can do an awful lot more to help support that education programme, and that's why we've put in place the programme that we have, which is a 6-week after school programme that we can take children through some real practical skills and something that's tangible for them to take away.
And which are the age groups that you're specifically targeting?
So we're targeting year 6, so age 10 and 11, and I think catching them at that age to stimulate interest before they go to secondary is really important. A lot of children see maths and science as a necessary evil, again, particularly in those schools where you have high pupil premium eligible percentages. And so we've targeted very specifically at that age group for that reason.
And tell me about what you're seeing in the business right now. I mean, it seems barely a week goes by without a hacking attack. Last week it was WH Smith again, for example.
It is, and my heart goes out to companies that experience those types of breaches. There are huge. There's a huge army of people sort of attacking on a regular basis. And I think companies do need to think more about how to get ready for if it happens to them or when it happens to them. There's almost becoming an inevitability of it. And really the best thing companies can do is think about how they prepare their plan for dealing with and remediating following such an incident.
All right, Marion, we have to leave it there. Best of luck with the initiative. Good to see you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll have a look at how global markets are doing this Thursday morning. Stay tuned.
It's been non-stop. It's been like nine weeks of absolutely Baltic weather for me. I've had about 2 days where the sun's kissed me skin for about an hour, and then it's just gone and played elsewhere. You know what I mean? So it's been cold, it's been really difficult, but I've had so much support along the way. It just keeps me going, and of course I've got my beautiful hat to keep me warm. I look after myself on the road. You know what I mean? I've got a bag full of clothes that I never wear. But for some reason I've got some kind of like the lousiest superpower in the world. Do you know what I mean? And that is, I walk in freezing cold temperatures and not die, basically, or not get, hypothermia. I was on the top of Ben Nevis, -18 it was, Kate, -18. And I'm still here to tell the tale, you know what I mean? So, we're doing it to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. And if somebody sees me walking down the road and they don't know what's going on, what are they going to do? They're going to ask questions. You know what I mean? They're going to go, what's happening here? And someone's going to go, oh, I know him. He's off the telly. Kate Bailey keeps getting him on Sky Sport. And he keeps telling the story that he's trying to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. And we're up to £144,000 on the GoFundMe page. I want to say thank you to everybody. I mean, there's a national crisis going on, cost of living crisis, and people are still digging deep. For me, it's amazing, Kate. You know what I mean? And that's going to go towards doing our own projects after this war. I'm most looking forward to I'm hanging my boots and my knickers up, aren't I? So I've took a lot of time out of my family life to do this stuff. Although it's it's great and it fulfills me. I've took a lot of time out of my family life, so I just want to take some time out there.
Well, a half-hearted rally on Wall Street last night was followed by mixed trading overnight for equities in the Asia-Pacific region. Sydney finished flat, Tokyo rose again for a fifth straight session, but Hong Kong, Shanghai and Mumbai all finished lower. Well, in Europe, stocks have made a lacklustre start to the day. All of the main continental European indices in the red right now. Talking points in Europe this morning, though, there are some gainers, and they include Deutsche Post, Germany's postal operator. Its shares are ahead by some 2% in Frankfurt. That's after it increased its share buyback programme and its dividend. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is in negative territory, currently off by 0.4%. That's partly down to a lot of companies going ex-dividend. In other words, they're trading without rights to the latest payout today. There are no fewer than 8 FTSE companies reporting results today. Among the gainers, well, the pick of the bunch is Aviva. I mentioned them earlier on. The shares are 2.5% ahead. And Informa, that's the events organiser and data provider. You might recall we had the chief executive on the programme not so long ago. It's up by 2.75%. And another gainer reporting today is it's M&G, the fund manager. It's up 2%. On the downside, the gold miner Endeavour Mining is off some 6%. On its results. Outside the FTSE, again, there are an awful lot of results around today. The air conditioning group Volution, again, a company whose CEO has been on this programme in the recent past. Its shares are ahead by some 8% on its results. But the property group Hammerson, owner, of course, of the Brent Cross shopping centre, it's down by nearly 11% on its trading update. On the foreign exchange markets, well, the US dollar has consolidated most of its gains from earlier the week following the testimony from the US Federal Reserve Chair Jay Powell. Sterling has clawed back a bit of lost ground against the dollar this morning. It's currently ahead by 0.25% against the greenback. It's up 0.1% against the euro. The single currency, meanwhile, is ahead by 0.1% against the dollar. As for the oil price, well, that is slightly lower on concerns over the possible impact of further US interest rate rises. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $82.64 a barrel. That is actually more or less unchanged. Well, joining me now is Catherine Young. She's Investment Director at Fidelity International. Catherine, good to see you this morning. Obviously, the main event in markets this week has been Jay Powell's testimony, obviously hinting at further US rate rises. How is that playing out in the Asia-Pacific region?
It is, in terms of we're seeing the bond markets really aligned with the increase in rates messaging, yet equity markets and credit markets, they seem to have this wall of money. And so despite the qualitative or quantitative, I should say, tightening that we're seeing, you're still seeing equity markets rise. So this disconnection really continues and adding a bit of caution and confusion to investors.
Japan is on a bit of a run at the moment. Obviously, we get a new central bank governor fairly imminently. What's pushing the Nikkei ahead right now?
So again, we're seeing some stronger data. Japan, alongside China, from a policy perspective, is more on the easing camp versus the tightening camp. We don't expect anything to come out of the monetary policy meetings, which conclude tomorrow. As you mentioned, we're going to see a new governor take place. All up, we're still finding a lot of very interesting opportunities, especially relating to the tech innovation names coming out of Japan.
That's interesting. What's attracting you there in particular?
Again, whilst you look at Japan in terms of the penetration rate of internet usage, it's very low versus, let's say, China, ASEAN and India. But we're seeing a lot of these companies really forge ahead. So it's really the small cap space versus your large traditional Japanese companies, which, again, are really innovating. And so not only are you seeing this potential demand side, but you're also seeing the innovation or the supply side also coming to from an opportunity set, come to the party, so to speak.
And going back to the Bank of Japan, Catherine, obviously we had fireworks just before Christmas when it looked as though they were tweaking their yield curve control in the jargon. Are we expecting anything similar from the new governor?
At this point in time, it's sort of a wait and see approach. Again, whilst we've got Japan on one side of the curve or the spectrum, we also have China, and China is really interesting. And one of the key drivers of our markets this week has been the news flow coming out of the National People's Congress in China, and there's real push again in terms of, like Japan, innovation, the consumption story, and really importantly, the sort of improvement or enhancements of state-owned enterprises. We call them SOEs, and then really returning to shareholders or minority shareholders, dividends and positive cash flow. So a lot going on from a China perspective in conjunction with Japan.
Have people got over the disappointment then of those growth targets that were set at the National People's Congress?
Well, it's interesting. The 5% GDP target was expected by domestic investors. It came out slightly weaker from an international or foreign investors' point of view. But what's really, really key is just this quality of growth. And again, it's being reiterated about the consumer really driving economic growth and the recovery that we are seeing. And interestingly, again, you have the ability and the willingness. The ability is at the household savings rates, 35%, so very attractive. The willingness is what the government's focusing on. So encouraging people to spend, and that comes down to the labour market. So they've also announced 12 million plus jobs, especially in the urban area this year.
And we've had some encouraging news from China today on the inflation front.
Yeah, some would dispute it's not actually encouraging, that it was weaker than expected. So February year-on-year inflation was 1%, again, driven by an easing of prices when it comes to consumer goods as well as food prices, especially after the Lunar New Year. And it goes against the sort of trend we've seen with other major economies in terms of the reopening period, where you've seen higher inflation. And don't forget, China can really control its inflation, especially food-related prices, given the government structure. So we don't expect inflation to be a pressure point like we are seeing elsewhere around the world.
All right, Catherine, we have to leave it there. It's really good to catch up with you this morning. Thank you.
Likewise.
Still to come here on Ian King Live. Profits up at the brickmaker Forterra despite rising energy and raw material costs. I'll be speaking next with the Chief Executive. Don't go away.
Empowerment is always key to development. Doing good outreach under the auspices of His Royal Highness Osi Ejatakbo VII presents Avatime Youth Empowerment Outreach 2023 with the theme Run to Jesus, Your Only Savior, Acts 10 verse 38. Date is Saturday the 26th of March to Saturday April 1st, 2023. Below are the dates and venues. 27th March, Avatime Vanle Community Center. 28th March, Avatime Amechokwe Market Square. 29th is Avatime Jokwepeme Primary School Compound. 30th March, Avatime Biakpa Community Center. 31st March, Avatime Bajame Community Center. Then April 1st is Avatime Fume and Jokwe Community Center. The time is 6:30 p.m. every day. Speakers: Reverend Michael K.M. Isiama.
We have redemption. We have been redeemed from the iniquities of the past. So you don't need to beg us anymore. Oh, in Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God.
Reverend Samuel Avagame and Reverend Prince Mauli Ejay, kindly consider with a generous heart donating to this noble cause financially, materially, or with your time and presence. Note, there will be free health screening during the day for all. Contact us on WhatsApp 0044 7851 205 626 or on mobile 054 959 1452 054 959 1452 or email us at admin@powerwordint.co.uk.
to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The whole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com. Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
All around the world.
The best radio show.
All around the world.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Hey there, this is Archie, and it's Starr Radio UK and the morning show.
This is Starr Radio UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat.
This is Starr Radio UK.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
And that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands. The hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and welcome you to the Thursday edition of the morning show. Today is the 9th of March, the year 2023, with the time now 10:40 exactly, and it's the Thursday edition of the Starr Radio UK morning show. Well, I being yours sincerely, the one and only. And I'm saying good morning to my team this morning. That Mr. Francis Guy, my able producer, and Mr. Olayomi Koiki. And all you wonderful people there listening to us too. Felix all the way in Aberdeen, and then to my brother Kojodi as well. Good morning to you, gentlemen. And a special good morning goes to all the way to Cyprus, where we have our Ya Asantua. Now I want to call her Ya Asantua. You know, she's got some abrofudi, but I would love to call her Ya Asantua still. Let me say morning to HRH, Linda Pallian, and Mr. Pallian, Mr. and Mrs. Pallian. Morning to you all, and to the family as well. Ya Asantua Pallian. Okay, to our presenters on Starr Radio UK, especially those of you celebrating something today, whatever it is, I might not know, but I salute each and every one of you. Dave West, massive good morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. Anthony Adedeji, massive good morning to you. Reverend Momo, Pastor Chidi. Sam Sudin Oladipupo, good morning to you. Aziz Badasari, good morning. Casino all the way in Moscow, I salute you. Olakunle, good morning. And to all of you listening to us from every part of the world, and even those of you on other planets as well, welcome to the show. So if it's your first time of tuning in to listen to us on the morning show on a Thursday edition, this is how the program goes on a Thursdays. Almighty, I worship. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day. The weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates as well. We'll continue from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. And then after that, at 11 o'clock, I'll bring you updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. You make my heart beat. We'll then continue from dance and then have a look at some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. And it's going to be a swift one from dance, though. You hold the world in. But it's supposed to be a technical upgrade going to be taking place, but I'll be giving you updates on that. Hopefully, we'll be able to go beyond 12:30. Beyond 12, my apologies. But if the technical team gives us the instruction that they are ready, then we might have to just bring the program to close. But that I'm trying to see whether I can beat them by maybe another 15 minutes. So about 12:15, we bring the program to a close there, so that they can get on with the job that they want to do. Every time they come to me to say, you know what, we have to get everything set up nicely and get it there. But what do you think about all that? It's on Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is your radio station, and therefore we make sure we bring you the best in everything.
Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Okie dokie do. All of you makes my heart beat. So this is how the program is going to go for today, but share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Now, those of you who missed out on the Niger Voices yesterday, it was quite a wonderful program. The beginning was a bit sketchy, and then later on, when it gathered momentum and everything was working nicely, my goodness, we had to go until 9 o'clock. And let me say, more grease to your elbow, White Lion. Okie dokie. Now, the quote for the day says, better not to be interested in the commercial side of what you are doing, but be interested in what you can do to the world to make the world a better place. So don't only look at your profits on what you are doing, but look at how whatever you are doing is impacting the world. By this time around, look at it that you want to impact the world positively. What about that? The other time I was watching a program or an interview of one astounding woman, very, very celebrated person, and they asked her, what's your legacy? Because she has castigated a case or made a statement that people were thinking was a bit beneath the belt or below the belt, as someone would put it. And they were saying, you know, what legacy would be? Say, I'm dead. What do I think? What do I care about my legacy? I am dead and gone. What do you think? But well, this one, the quote of the day says, he said, well, make sure that whatever you are doing, you are impacting the world positively. What about that? 10:45 the time. Let's move on straight to the weather front. You know, interestingly, it's been quite cold. Some part of the UK suffering, having snow and rain and sleet and name it, everything like that going on. Chaos going to be taking place from the middle belt right down to Scotland and all that place. So if you don't need to travel, don't do it, as they've said. This afternoon it's not going to be good there, so please stay safe. But let me tell you what the weather is like. If you are here in the south east or the in London area. Okay, so this afternoon we'll see overcast skies. Showery spells of rain was spreading from the west through the day. Now this falling sharp in places, particularly towards the evening. Now this evening will stay cloudy and very wet with heavy spells of rain. Now it's going to be turning a little drier overnight with some clear spells possible in places, but clouding over again by dawn with further rain. The top temperature is going to be 10 degrees, the lower is going to be 7 degrees. UV level low, pollution low. Sunset 17:54 hours, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 06:29 hours. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. Let's take a quick break and let me bring you the travel update. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I will keep you navigated. I promise. I'm on the Starr Radio travel update that comes your way every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:47. So what's your travels like? You want to share with us? Feel free to do so. Well, I'm here to share it with our worldwide listeners as well. Okie dokie do. So on the travel this morning here in London, this what is taking place. Yes, on the underground, the Elizabeth line has got minor delays between Paddington and Heathrow terminals, Reading, while Heathrow terminal stroke Reading, while they fix a signal. Fix a track fault at Hayes and Harlington. London Underground is accepting tickets via any reasonable routes and good service on other routes though. Now when it comes to the Jubilee line, there are minor delays due to train cancellation. That aside, all the other underground lines have got good service there. DLR good service, but London Overground has got past suspension. Between Rumford and no service between Rumford and West Upminster while they fix a faulty train at Rumford. There's severe delays between Watford Junction and Euston, and again no service between that's the same thing. There are delays, severe delays between Watford Junction and Euston while they fix a signal failure at Carpenter's Park. So please check before you leave. Now on the London tram link as well, there are some delays between Elmes End and Arena due to tram cancellations. Good service on the rest of the line though. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. Also keep you navigated. I promise I'm moving on straight to the major roads in London. On the major roads in London, what have I got for you? Now A12, A23, A24, A4, Central London Red routes have all got closures. And then A13, A2 and A40 has got serious delays. If you can avoid them, do your best to avoid that. If not, you are stuck in there. Continue to listen to us as and when there are any changes. I promise you one thing for sure, I'm going to bring it to the fore. But when it comes to the river bus this morning, no problems there. Good service throughout. And the London cable car, good service there as well. But on to the final segment of the travel update, that is the National Rail. On the National Rail, we've got Chiltern Railways that got minor delays. Now, Cross Country, First Transpennine Express, Grand Central, Great Western Railway, Heathrow Express, London North Eastern Railway, Lumo, ScotRail, and Transport for Wales have all got minor delays. But on the side, all the others have got good service. And that is where I'm going to say it once again. Say it loud. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the road.
Hi Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 9 minutes to the top of the hour. That means that it's time for Global Trotting. So let's go. Let me tell you what is happening across the globe this morning. Now, when it comes to Nigeria, yesterday, in the... So I quite late. It was late yesterday. Yes, INEC came out to say that the governorship election and state houses assembly polls have been postponed. Why? The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has postponed the governorship and state house assembly election scheduled for Saturday, March the 11th to the 18th. So we'll be looking into that. And then Tinubu, Atiku, Obi hire 89 sons for legal battle. Hey, well, the battle is going to commence, and let's see what is going to happen. INEC must transmit governorship polls result electronically. That's what the court is saying. So we will say that with all that, the presidential elections wasn't a free and fair one. Or somebody would say that, you know what, let's rule the line under that, okay? And let's move on, let's move forward. But until when? We always do that. Every time we sit down, we make a mess of everything else. Let's rule the line. Then we say, no, let's rule the line. We could on ruling lines while people are just going on developing, doing their best, advancing. But what are we doing? There are lots more going to be coming your way once we have Miss Olayomi Koiki on at 11 o'clock. But let's move on to other parts of the world as well. Let's see what is happening there as well. In other parts of the world, now Ukraine has been hit. Ukraine has been hit with biggest Russia strike for weeks. Now, deaths are reported as President Zelensky condemns Moscow's miserable tactics. This morning, it is a sad one. Ukraine nuclear plant loses power after strikes. The electrical power supply at Europe's largest nuclear power plant is lost after Russia launches missiles. Is it going to impact the nuclear plant itself? And what is going to happen there? We're not sure, because if it's not, the cooling system is not working, then for sure there's going to be a problem. Now, Georgia drops foreign agents law after protest. Now, the ruling party says it will pull a controversial Russian-style bill amid widespread criticism. Well. Is it why Russia is now decided to unleash its venom on Ukraine this morning? We'll be telling you more about that. A top Taliban official killed by blast at his office. A provincial governor is the most senior official to be killed in attacks since the Taliban retook power. Who did that? Well, are there some insurgents there as well who are troubling the Taliban? The Taliban are troubling the Taliban, or what is happening? Now, weeping U.S. Marine describes Afghan catastrophe. A congressional inquiry into the 2021 withdrawals. Here's emotional testimony from a bomb victim. Okay, in the U.S., a black couple have settled whitewashed home lawsuit. The couple's house was valued for nearly $500,000 more when a white friend posed as the owner. Wow! So if it's a white person selling it, yeah, the price should go up. But if it's a black person, no, it needs to dip. My goodness. Can we be treated equally? Is there anything of that sort? Well, Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend sues to challenge NDA Eric Herman, who dated a golfer for 6 years, wants a court to overturn the privacy agreement. What does she want that for? To go and spill Oh my goodness. So I think now if you are going into any relationship, you have to sign some agreement that you cannot say this, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. Maybe we have to think about that. But what about that? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, in other stories making the rounds on the African continent as well, DRC, more than 40 dead in new attack attributed to the ADF. A new attack on the Eastern Democratic on the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Wednesday night killed more than 40 people, according to local authorities. But we thought that they brokered a ceasefire, and that was what was going to happen. But now, look at what is happening there. Boko Haram survivors have met Pope on Women's Day. Now, Pope Francis met two Nigerian women formerly held by Boko Haram militants on International Women's Day. Pope Francis met two Nigerian women there. It's one of the stories making the rounds on the African continent. We'll be bringing you more about that in a moment. Now, around 5,000 migrants in Libyan detention center, not counting unofficial centers. My goodness. What can we do to actually stop that? Because here in the UK, they are talking about stop the boats, eventually stopping illegal migration. They say you have to come in through the legal corridors. Okay, but look, with everything that seems to be going on, what do you think? How can we actually stop others from doing so? Now, Shaman military brutality, dehumanizing, condemnable and unacceptable. That's what Shraj is saying. Well, the soldiers, were scrambled, should I put it that way? And they launched the attack on the community. Shaman, they call that place, they call Shaman, is that Shaman Taifa? A Taifa in Ashaman. They said that place is one of the den of thieves, let me put it that way. But the thing is, it's not everybody who is living in that community that you will say that are part of people who are perpetrating ills in the community. It could be that some people have no choice but to be there, or even the settings was there before these people came to settle in there as well, or came to mix up with them. But if they go on to go and kill somebody, why should others who had nothing to do with it be held culpable for that or be punished for that? Lots more going to be coming your way. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Yesterday, the president of Ghana gave the State of the Nation's address. Well, he says what? Ghana's loan program requires to go to IMF board by end of March. And he's saying that, you know what? I'm going to make sure I fix the country. Well, they say, well, as the people are calling fix the country, they were saying that fix yourself. But what do you think about all that? Lots more going to be coming your way from there. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, when it comes to the UK front, HS2 construction to be delayed to save money. Really? Now, is that delays that have pushed the whole thing, skyrocket the cost of it? Now, they are going to delay it as well. And are they believing that by delaying it will bring the prices down when inflation is to be going up and prices of everything seem to be going up? What do you think? Well, more going to be coming your way from there. Maimula has been announced as UK's act for Eurovision 2023. The 25-year-old will perform I Wrote a Song at May's competition as the UK host on Ukraine's behalf. Well, the tweet that Lenica, the tweet, it's still causing lots of heads to be turned in. The Match of the Day host has been criticized for tweets about the government's new asylum plans. Now, interestingly, let me tell you, if those of you who are thinking that some are criticizing him for making that, sending that tweet, the policy that government or the language that is being used is like the same language that was used in the 1930s. In Germany before the World War took place and people lost their lives and everything that took place. Now, if you've not listened or you've not studied history or you've not known much about this, what happened was that Hitler was fanning the flame of it's migrants who have caused all these challenges that we are facing. If you lose something, it's the migrants, they are taking over, and he seems to come from that point of view. But some are saying that, shut up, what do you know? You are just a footballer and a football presenter, so stick to your lane and do that. But what do you think? We live in a community where there is freedom of speech, so everybody has to make what they think or they want to say about policies free and fair. Some are calling for his head to roll when it comes to the working at the BBC. But what do you think about that? Should he resign or should he be sacked because of that? I don't think so. Why he's making some what about people who make bigotry and all those statements? What about them? He's making a fair statement. So everybody has a right to say whatever they have to say. Well, freedom comes with responsibility, but I don't think this time around there's the need for anything of the sort. But it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. So stay tuned. Now let's take a musical break, and once we come back, we'll continue with the show. This is from Theodora Boachi and Pastor Theodora, all the way in Oxfordshire, and he says everlasting to everlasting. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
This is Starr Radio UK.
In your car, at work, at home,
on your
This is
smartphone.
Starr Radio UK.
there is no one like our God. So we lift him high, we worship him. Because I say it all the time, like we say on this platform, if you wake up in the morning and you say Nigeria has not happened to you, it's not by your own might, not by your own, no, it's just by the grace of God that Nigeria has not happened to you. But wherever you are listening to us from, it is Starr Radio UK, it is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And I'm saying good morning to Auntie Mary, Mrs. Mary Bruce. My morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. And to the apostle himself, Brother HB. All of Bible Life Family Ministries.
Thy kingdom
But we should be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining us pretty soon. So wherever you are, keep your dial so logged on Starr Radio UK. And as I did say, he's just lining up nicely and he'll be joining us in a bit. Starr Radio UK. This program comes your way every weekday from exactly 10 o'clock to 12:30. 1:30 or 1 o'clock as it might be. Bringing you all the stories making the rounds across the globe from the Sky News. Well, we'll look at all the stories making the rounds across the globe. And then at 10:30, the in-house program starts as well. Well, myself and Olayomi Koiki and all the others who join the broadcast come your way to bring you everything that you need to know this every morning. Let me see, Yomi, can you hear me? Okay, I know why you can. Let me see. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, good, good. It's because you muted last night, so yeah. All right, listeners. I've got my own, the White Lion himself, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, on the radio now or on your screens now, and let's go have a look at what is happening in Nigeria. And once again, let me say, Yomi, morning, and how are you?
Well, a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. I'm doing very well. Good morning to Frank. Good morning to all our presenters from around the globe. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have, because we're transmitting from the sister broadcast joining you. We also have somebody watching us while we were joining you from Australia. It's just about 10 p.m. local time in Australia. Good evening to those watching us in Australia. And we are now live on Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you in our North London studios, where we bring you every weekday from 10 o'clock. All the stories making the rounds across the globe. At 11, we bring you updates from Nigeria. But well, before we go to the updates, yesterday was a very special program. We were looking at the Saturday when the governorship elections and the local assembly elections were supposed to take place. However, during the course of the latter part of the program, then information came in that INEC has decided to cancel the elections or postpone it. Let me put it that way, postpone it. Now, what were the causes? We're going to be coming to that. But that program was a smasher of a program that when we wanted to put a pause to it, we couldn't. Then we had to allow the program to go on until 9 o'clock before we brought the program to a close. But we say that Starr Radio UK is a radio for the people, and that's why we allowed that to happen. But Yomi, for the sake of those who did not have the chance to listen to us yesterday on the Niger Voices, what was discussed and what were some of the reactions that you got from there? Over to you.
Well, Niger Voices is a program that put together, about 5 years ago, to be able to support the Nigerian community and the indigenous people across the globe, and likewise as many of the diaspora, because we have a lot of problems. Condolence to a Nigerian man that died after he was accused in the care home he was working. We believe he went into depression. He eventually got another job through the agency, but he died, at work. There was another situation, and again, this is an advice to those that are just arrived in the United Kingdom. Please do not leave your children alone in the house. There's another case like that we've just come across where these couples have come to UK, and the wife hasn't worked for some time. She was called to work. The husband has gone to work, not a very good one. She left a 3 and a 5-year-old children in the house. Please, but when you listen to Niger Voices, these are some of the issues that we discuss. Settling into the UK, and we have a lot of program on the Star Radio UK. Family and life. There's a lot of programs. Make sure you participate, and you'll be able to get yourself, especially those of you that have just arrived into the country. But Star Radio UK comes up every Wednesday with Niger Voices. Yesterday was again, looking at the expectation. It was in the course of the program that we realized that INEC has already also postponed the election to the 18th. But one thing that was the major concern is the Yorubas that are saying that the Igbos wants to take their land. I'm going to talk about a caller that came from Libya, is now giving us a different perspective. Who actually owns the land as it is right now? The land doesn't belong to the Yorubas. It is being controlled by the Nigerian country, the federal government. But yesterday, there was a lot of division from those that say, yes, we might not really want the APC, but there's an option whether you go for the PDP, but do not allow the Labour Party. But under the Constitution, the Labour Party has been a registered party, but it seems that the candidate of the Labour Party is the real reason why people are having this, skepticism that Lagos State is going to be taken away. Who is playing this narrative is another question. I listened to Gbadebo this morning on one of the media in Nigeria, and he was asked the question whether APC has already approached him for about 20 billion to allow his slot to be taken away. He said that information is wrong. He now also said that he hoped that it is not the same APC that is putting out a narrative about his Igbo lineage that is now becoming a concern to so many Yorubas that the ancestral land is going to be taken away from them. And that was why it led to, that was why the program was very, very tense. And the reason why it was tense is some Yorubas believe that even those that are asking for the right to self-determination must leave that for now and protect the ancestral land. Why some disagree and say there must be something that is inside the APC. It has not been APC from 1999. Remember that Tinubu, the president right now, was the governor of Lagos State from 1999, and a lot of Yoruba believe that he is still controlling Lagos State. And for those that want the Lagos State to have a better opportunity, that literally means that APC government must be removed, whether from another party that people want, which is the obedient from the youth, that some say doesn't understand the history, but some say, well, we have the Yoruba candidate as well in the PDP, but one thing is, we must break that camel back of the APC in Lagos State so that we can move the development that has not been in Lagos State. Remember that Lagos State is 20 million. Somebody called us on the program today. Moldova is 2.5 million. And as a Moldovan, you can travel to more countries within Europe than a Nigerian passport, where a young Nigerian in Dublin wanted to go to Dublin, wanted to travel to India, but she was refused the visa at the first point of application that was never even looked into. She eventually got the visa. So the question is it the bigger we are or the smaller? All this is thrown out until INEC also come back to say we can't have that election on Saturday, and it has been postponed. And I'll be looking into that in the course. Why INEC postponed the governorship and the State House of Assembly will be discussed on this program. So if you've missed the program, you can go back on the Star Radio UK timeline where you can be able to watch Niger Voices. A very, very tense situation between the Igbos and the Yoruba is playing out in Lagos State.
Well, listeners, that is what was discussed on the Niger Voices yesterday. But like Yomi said, if you want to have a take on it, you can still go there and, put your comments there. We'll still have time to we review some of this programs that we do, and then we will be putting that across as well. But the question has been, is it the APC or is it the federal government that is now trying to stoke some fire in there, because at the point we remember that the Yorubas and the Igbos were now thinking that, look, we are all trying to get out of the system, that system that we think is not good for us. We're trying to get our people out of it. So they were coming from a united front. Now suddenly there being something in there that is now causing a flare. And what is causing that? We'll be looking at that. Now Omotosho Olayomi says, good afternoon, sir. It's a good afternoon, Omotosho. I hope you are doing very, very well. It is Starr Radio UK. Now, Yomi, so with that that speculation that, well, whatever is taking place has something to do with the APC, the ruling government. How do you see it?
The APC, as we know, controls a lot of the states in the southwest. But in generally, APC has been able to win this election, even though this election will be challenged at the court, with about almost 89 legal team put together between Atiku, Tinubu, and Peter Obi. It seems that the senior advocate of Nigerians will be very, very engaged and busy for the legal battle ahead. We're going to be discussing about that. But one thing is, Nigerians, in Lagos State, we had a caller on the live program from the bank says, she has money in the bank, she can't get access to the money, and it's the ego or the ego of the president, Muhammadu Buhari, not to come out and say something after the Supreme Court has ruled that the old 200 naira, the 500 naira, and the 1,000 naira must still be used until December 30. But as long as the president is not coming out, we know the president is on a merry-go-round to Doha in Qatar. But we know that he's going to be returning back home anytime soon. But sometimes when I look at this picture, this was released by the presidency at some time. It looks like he has just finished eating nama, which is a meat in the north. And it looks like this is a president that care less in just 2 months is leaving. But Nigerians are suffering for the negligence of this APC not coming out to buttress on what the Supreme Court says and allow money to flow. Nigerians have the money. They can't get access to that money. The woman says she has her children at home. She can't buy what she needs, even though we know that Nigeria, as so many other African countries, do not give benefit to their citizens.
Well, listeners, updates from Nigeria, and that was just a bit of reflection on what took place yesterday. But what do you think about what is happening on the grounds? Do you think that people are stoking fire? What do you think? Is it the APC doing it, or is it one of those things? We want to know. Let your voice be heard, and we promise you for sure that we're going to be actually reading whatever you post on our social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Periscope, whichever you were watching us from, or on the other platforms as well. Just post it, and we promise you one thing that we'll be touching on that. It is Starr Radio UK. Now let's move on to INEC's postponement of the elections. Now it was like, with everybody thinking, okay, this weekend, those who want to be traveling would have prepared themselves that, look, we have to travel to that place to go and do that. Then, this time round, 3 days to the time, and then they said, this time we put it out. They didn't wait for some few hours, 12 hours, or as it did happen in 2019. So, what are we seeing? What exactly is going on? What are the reasons behind that?
Well, it has shown that, the President Muhammadu Buhari has failed as much as, he was able to deliver with the presidential election, literally almost 2 weeks ago now on the 25th, but he's not now been able to deliver the governorship election. What could be the reason, that this election has now been pulled from happening on Saturday? There's a lot of court case going on, around INEC. Let me take you through some of the timeline quickly. Peter Obi, was at the court yesterday, where he attended court sitting over the beavers, the bimodular, the bimodular voter accreditation system. According to the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, yesterday, with his lawyer and his party legal request to inspect the bimodular voter accreditation system machine and the other electoral materials used by the independent National Electoral Commission that was used on the 25th of February. Obi in a statement says that he would rather be in court than make his trip. We know that INEC has now been forced, to allow access to some of these materials, and according to what we have here, Festus Okoye, the INEC National Commissioner and the Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, who announced yesterday night, say the exercise will now hold on the 18th of March, which is next week Saturday, not this Saturday. Okoye said the shift was to enable the electoral umpire back up the data, reconfigure the bimodular voter accreditation system machines deployed for the February 25th Presidential National Assembly to be used for the governorships and state legislative. A lot of speculation is also there that should these be reconfigured, we might not be able to know the truth of what took place on the 25th. So this is coming hours after the appeal court sitting in Abuja granted INEC request on the reconfiguration of the beavers, and INEC says we need 5 days to be able to do so for so many of these beavers that will have to be used in most of the polling units across the country. We know again that, like I said, Peter Obi was in the court yesterday, and the INEC statement reads, following today's ruling, which was yesterday, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on the reconfiguration of the bimodular voter accreditation system beavers that was used on the 25th, the commission met to assess its impact on the commission preparation for the governorship and the State House of Assembly, and that is the reason why we are seeing this election not happening. Why has INEC left it too late? Maybe they should have done so just after the election, and they will have ample of time. But again, election has been postponed, and that is now going to go in the history of Nigeria again.
Well, I think this time around, the next time when they fix any date for election, people will think that, you know what, let's do whatever we are doing, because it's just there's a matter of more chance of it being postponed than it coming on. But what do you think? Well, and with that stance by INEC, does that mean that there were some flaws in the presidential elections? Even as people have gone to the courts, do you think that it's something worth looking at? And how is it going to pan out now? Because in 2019, that wasn't how it worked out. After they postponed the general election, the presidential and the House of Reps won, it was all postponed, and then they came back to it. However, this time around, the presidential election has been held, and then when it was coming to the gubernatorial one, now that has been postponed. I don't know how that is all going to pan out for INEC, looking at their reputation. What do you think the candidates are saying?
Well, the candidates would have no option than to, continue their strategy. Up to yesterday, there were few videos popping out on the social media around these, campaign for a particular political party. We are not endorsing anyone from this platform, but what we are saying is, looking at the political party, I think it gives them a bit more time to, get those, electorate to vote in their favor. But now, again, looking at the human error in Lagos this morning might also be having a big more impact on the Lagos state government itself, where casualties, we don't know the numbers, between a Lagos state transport work that's taking the workers to work, not the public one, but for the Lagos state staff, has now also colluded with the train, and multiple casualties around 7 a.m. this morning, where the bus was moved by the train for some distance before it was eventually stopped. Like I said, this is going to put more pressure. Yesterday was a fire in a particular location in Lagos State. This also is having a big impact to change the narrative, but it seems a few more days will please some politicians, and probably some politicians will have to spend more money because you still have to continue the campaign.
Now, somebody is asking me a question here. He's asking whether Sanwo-Olu is scared that he's going to lose his governorship, the seat, to maybe the Labour Party, because they won most of the seats in in Lagos State. Is that what they are scared of, and that's why they are stoking the fire for this what should I call it, racial or the Igbo and the tribal politics thing there? Do you think that that's what is causing them to do so?
Well, if we judge by the just conducted Lagos election of the presidential one from the Labour Party, even Tinubu lost his polling unit on the street. He lost his own polling unit as in Ikeja, and when you look at the overall, Peter Obi won, Lagos State hands down, and definitely that changed, the conversation in Lagos State. If Peter Obi could bring down Tinubu, that have controlled Lagos State since 1999 as the first governor for 8 years, the kingmaker as is known, he has become the king himself, and yet Alimosho, the biggest local government in Lagos State, Tinubu lost it as well to Peter Obi, the Labour Party. It is a landslide, and it seems that from looking at it, the question then is Lagos going to lose APC to the new tsunami, or are we going to say, I was reading the PDP have said they're not having any reason to merge with Labour Party. Remember that the question that was asked Atiku was, should he have merged with Peter Obi?
Yeah.
The vote would not have been divided. And he said he had no reason to merge. Maybe after the election, we will see the expectation, which was part of the discussion yesterday. The expectation is something that nobody can talk about. But the narrative of what is now penetrating in terms of this ancestral land is going to be taken away from us. We must not allow this candidate, to become the governor because he's not a full Yoruba from what some people are saying. Some disagree with it, and some say, let us just allow everything to flow. Whatever the outcome, it will change for good or bad the narrative in Lagos State. But like somebody was saying this morning, who actually owns the land as we speak today? Because as much as the Yoruba land, but the federal government controls every resources, and that is part of the 1999 fraudulent military decree constitution that has been used, for a very long time.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios and Archie here in the South studios. Now let's touch on this one quickly, and then I leave you to control. You did touch on it briefly with the bus colliding with the train. Now, whether no stops there, what happened? Did the train go through a red light, or did the bus go through a red light? What exactly took place?
Well, let's take a look at the Greece situation, human error. From what we are hearing so far, there is not any update from the Lagos State, apart from they are aware that the situation and emergency services are there. As I speak to you right now, that is what is trending. About almost close to 200 and something thousand of the train situation. Like I said, I picked up the news just about 7:20, just as it was happening. We can show some of the images, but what we can say is, from what I've heard from those on the ground and the videos I've listened to, it seems that the bus, just as so many train accidents, was not following the signal problem, the signal situation, and that is why we've seen that. Like I said, it is quite devastating. I've seen a lot of emergency services arriving in the images I'm looking at right here, probably being brought in from the closest, general hospital. There's a general hospital in Ikeja down there. Let me take you back to 2017 when I traveled to Nigeria. The same rail track where this accident has occurred. People sell wares, food stuff. This shouldn't be happening in Lagos State, but it is what it is. 20 million people, and it seems that some of the reason why people are saying that there's a pressure in Lagos State. But from 2017 to date, you would expect changes. Education. Maybe the driver was thinking that he could still pass through. When you're crossing the road and the lighting, this traffic light is changing.
Yeah.
If you are not careful, I think what UK has done now is to give us the countdown. So at least you have an idea that you have about less than 2 seconds to cross to the other side. Because the speed of the vehicle coming, even if it's driving at about 30 miles per hour, which I believe the driver must have probably calculated that he can pass through, not knowing the speed that the train is coming.
As well.
And as I said right now, casualties on the ground. and we can only pray. They are now asking for blood donation that is ongoing right now at the General Hospital in Bagada. I think more people will be needed. I can see the gas being removed. We don't know the amount of numbers of people on the bus, but from what we are told, the bus is fully packed. Remember, they are heading to work.
Yeah, early morning, heading to work. Sad one there. To the lost, those who have lost their lives, we say, may their souls rest in perfect peace. And to those who have been hurt, I will wish them a speedy recovery. And we hope that
so far, 2 female passengers have been confirmed dead.
Oh my. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Listen, this is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, 11:30 the time. And let's go back to Yomi. Well, they are all at the courts. What is happening? And a lot more coming your way. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Archie. Once again, this is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Beaver's Appeal Court refused Obi's request to scan election materials. Once again, 2 people have been killed, in this passenger train that collided with a metro bus in Lagos State. We pray for the family. A Nigerian most wanted prostitution ringleader, Madam Joy, has now been extradited to Italy, where 13 years sentence while she run back to Nigeria. But it seems that the Interpol were able, with the new laws between Nigeria and Italy, I believe in 2020, she has now been taken back on a private jet, at least until she get back to Italy, where she will now face some of this reason why she has been brought back to Italy. Joy Jeff, a most wanted Nigerian woman who runs a prostitution ring, was sentenced to 13 years imprisonment, has now been extradited to Italy. What do we know? She runs a prostitution ring. While she was doing this, she was able to evade justice. She ran away, but it seems now that the Italian police have confirmed yesterday that the culprit had been declared wanted since 2010, shortly after she was sentenced. In a statement, the police described Ms. Jeff as a prominent figure in the Nigerian mafia. She was arrested in Nigeria on the 4th of June 2022 on an international warrant issued by Italy, the statement added. With a video clip released by the Italian police show Ms. Jeff being flown from Nigerian capital Abuja to Campino Airport in Rome, where she was taken away in the wheelchair. Again, always one day for the owner and one day for the crime, or I don't know how they do. That is said.
Every day for the criminal, one day for the master.
For the criminal, one day for the
owner.
I believe Nemesis have catch up on her, and she'll be spending 13 years behind bar. For bringing as many innocent young Nigerians, female, to Italy and around the world for prostitution. Again, 100 of Labour Party loyally supporting our candidate Peter Obi, PDP, saying there in one of the headlines as well. So let's now go and look at some of the other headlines. Once again, it seems that more senior advocate of Nigeria will be very busy. Between Atiku, Peter Obi, and Tinubu, 89 senior advocate of Nigeria will be fighting, to defend them at the court, according to the headline. The legal tussle between the Labour Party, People's Democratic Party, and the ruling All Progressive Congress over the outcome of the February 25th presidential election has taken a new dimension, following report that a combined team of 89 senior advocates of Nigeria have been engaged. According to the camp, warring political parties say the array of legal luminaries drawn from different chambers are presently being furnished with materials that could be tendered as evidence in court. That the APC candidate Bola Tinubu was announced the winner of the keenly contested election by INEC. The former Lagos State governor pulled about 8 million to defeat PDP at about 6 million, and then also Labour Party at about 6 million. But both Atiku and Peter Obi rejected the result, and that is the reason why they are heading to the court. 11:34, and we take 2 more. Buhari's in-law not stepping down from Kaduna governor's race, ADP, is saying. Rejection of the old note, disobedient to law, Akeredolu says. this is a big problem to so many Nigerians. I mean, like I said, I had a caller from one of the bank in Lagos State, GT, where she was saying to me on the phone line that she has money in the account, but she can't get access to the money. And when you have 10,000 naira and you want to withdraw that from the POS, you would then have to cover 3,000 out of that 10,000 naira. That's about almost 30%. That's quite a lot, you know, for a country where an average salary is about 30,000 naira. That is even if you're paying that. But the governor of Ondo State, we know that El Rufai has promised those in Kaduna that, you know, when Tinubu becomes the president, he's going to reverse that. But Tinubu cannot do anything right now because he has not been sworn in. So the only person that still have the mandate to change the narrative and come out and say, we have accepted the Supreme Court ruling till December 30, even though Buhari is leaving in May. Buhari is still adamant and is not saying anything, no press statement, and this is creating a lot of problem. So the governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, today described the rejection of the old Naira note as the fragment of disobedience to law. The governor disclosed this in a statewide broadcast. He decried the rejection of the old Naira note by a large number of traders and business owners in the state. He said the rejection of the old note would weaken the nation's economy, cause great harm for local business, local trade, and business transaction. Remember that the Supreme Court had ordered the old currency must remain as legal tender in exchange of goods and services in the nation. But President Muhammadu Buhari, for whatever reason, has refused to back that ruling, and that is why it is creating a lot of problem. I can now see that this Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu sympathized with the victims of Lagos State train crash. Is coming from the headline. The Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, sympathized with the victims of the train accident that occurred at the early hours of this morning about 7 a.m. According to report, 2 people have died. Unspecified number of people were injured after the passenger train crushed a Lagos State government staff bus on his way from Ikotun en route Alausa, the state secretariat at the PWD area of the state. Like I said, a very, very sad situation, and it's still ongoing as we speak right now. I'm going to take us now straight to the social media to see what is trending. The train issue is trending, and again, from what we are, eyewitness blame the bus driver for recklessness that resulted in the accident. Looking at it, the bus and the train has crashed in the middle. So we have one section of the bus completely locked into the train, from this, description. So the front side and the back side are halfway on the track, and one section have pulled it, and it has pulled the bus, up to where it eventually stopped. Again, recklessness. Who is going to be paying the price of such this magnitude? Like I said, they're asking for blood donation. If you can do so, please make your way to Bagada General Hospital, the Lagos State Accident and Emergency Center too, and the General Hospital Lagos Island, for Larry Coker Staff Clinic Alausa Ikeja. Blood donation is needed, and we pray. Like I say, Sanwo-Olu says, I am deeply saddened by the news. The vehicle was conveying staff of the Lagos State government, our staff who serve in the state in different capacity. Let us say a prayer for the families and a prayer of mercy and protection of our state. What are the reaction? Again, the Labour Party candidate is also saying, I am deeply saddened by the news of the train of the BRT collision in Ikeja. My prayer for everyone involved in that accident. We must all do our best we can to help emergency services get all that is affected. Again, some of the influencers, Mr. Macaroni, so sad to hear about the train collision at Ikeja, Lagos State. My heart goes out to the affected family. And on behalf of the Starr Radio UK as well, we are saying our heart goes out to them as well. Once again, Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. The spokesperson for the Biafra, Mazi Simon Ekpa, have lifted any sit-at-home that is meant to happen from tomorrow, since the election of the governorship has been postponed across the country as well.
Well, listeners, interesting updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. But let's touch on a couple of the information that he put across, and then we can just bring the conversation to a close there. Now, when it comes to the Naira, the new Naira notes, we have Akeredolu, criticizing people for not accepting it. But again, we are talking about education, because you are telling people haven't got that information. They don't know who they need to listen to as to whether tomorrow, the federal government will wake up and say that, you know what, we have changed our minds. We are now, so all whatever monies that you have transacted your businesses in, that means you are stuck there. But my question is, how is the federal government encouraging electronic business transaction, electronic one? Because that
has been the problem. The lady I spoke to says, she would have loved to do transaction online. The network is very bad. Guess what? Let me ask you, I sent 7,000 Naira, not a lot of money, just for someone to be able to help them to buy data since Monday at 8:30 p.m. Can you say how long it would take for that money to have arrived in his account?
No, it should be, eventually when I do some transactions like that to Ghana, it takes maybe a minute or 2 minutes. It should be there.
Well, the money has just been received today.
Wow. You don't mean it?
Yes. The money was sent, from my own account, which is my, Naira account to these, my brother back home, on Monday at exactly 8:33 p.m. local time, 20:33, 7,000 Naira to one of the bank, which is FCMB. We can mention the bank, and he has just sent a message. Thank you. It is just enter. God bless you, sir.
It is sad because it's like
so the transaction is difficult when it comes to moving of money between and not everybody has access to the right phone. You can use some hash code to send the money, but it's still very, very difficult.
Wow. I think that the federal government should have seen to all this before coming out with that policy, which now has caused people. People have lost lots of business when it comes to this. Traders might have lost lots of money there, but I don't know. We don't take into account all those things. So now let's move on to this accident that's happened. How are Nigerians with blood donation? When it comes to Africans as a whole, especially Black Africans, when it comes to blood donation, we don't do well in there. When it comes to this part of the world, at times they need people to donate either for some organ transplant. We don't do well at all. Now, when it happens with this accident, what are people doing? Do Nigerians respond to that?
Again, it's still part of education. A lot of Nigerians are not educated, to understand, giving back. Giving back is not just about monetary wise. Giving back is also important in a way that you can give the blood. But some of the problem is not just the giving of the blood, is also that maybe you end up giving blood and you end up taking something out, because the needle that will be used on you is not sterilized. It's not sterilized, so they end up using the same needle that is, and some of these could also infect individuals. I give blood here every now and then, because it is important, to help, the community that I live here in UK. So, and I'm just trying to see if we can. The engineer is going to bring, one of my latest one I did just last year, and I've just received even an email that they're going to be needing more from someone like us. It is good to give blood, but again, it is all about the education surrounding it. Some of our Black communities do not also give blood here in UK, and the reason for that is, most of them are worried, they are concerned that probably maybe they might end up trying to give blood, especially if you are probably, not in the system, then you might end up, picked up. So, but again, it has nothing to do with that.
It's got nothing to do with that.
Giving is something that is very, very important, to the community, but a lot of our people are scared to give blood donation. But we do encourage people to give blood. It is part of what is needed in every society, especially with this current situation that has just occurred in Lagos State. Please, if you can make your way to the emergency services that we've mentioned, try and get it as quickly as possible. Your blood will be needed, and we hope that those that are still going through these difficulties will be looked after quickly, and thorough inquiries and whoever needs to be penalized for such, whether from the management of the bus driver that is representing Lagos State, somebody must pay, not the prayer, because even Chris that has a system that works, we've seen protests happening since almost last week for the negligence of the train accident that killed 54 people in Greece.
Yeah. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio. A sad one there, but we want to encourage you. Be rest assured, they don't take your blood that you need. It's the excess blood that you have that they take. So if they check you and you don't have that excess, they won't take your blood. That's one thing that you have to understand. And again, we are telling the authorities that when you are doing blood transfusion blood donation, please bring syringes. Let everybody have one syringe. Don't we're giving somebody's syringe to another person, and in that case people are not confident in the system and wouldn't want to do that. So please, our health experts, please do that. And if you're going to sterilize it, then sterilize it properly for us, please. Thank you. Yomi, I think they heard it. Well,
that's the most important thing. Yes, we wanted to hear that. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Yomi. Yeah, before we go.
Well, it is the Thursday edition. Archie has the rest of the program. I will be coming back again same time tomorrow. May Nigeria never happen to us. It has happened to some this morning. We pray and we send our condolences to them. But one thing, and I guess I just want to bring quickly that picture before I go. I believe we have
do
that picture, and that just to prove that we are also giving blood. So there's nothing to be scared of. It is what is needed to support our community, and that is me there. Giving to the blood donation, as you can see there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is last year where I was giving my own blood as well. So Starr Radio UK, as much as we're here, we also do within the community whatever we can do, since this is where we live. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, for that wonderful presentation and that support. And it's educating you as well. Make sure that you go in to donate your blood as well. Yomi, thank you very much and see you tomorrow.
Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. As I did say earlier on, the technical team are working on some few, but Mr. Francis Gaye will be giving me not when they have to take over. So we got about, they wanted some 12 o'clock, but this is 12 o'clock. We don't have that time. So please, give us another 15 minutes. Yeah? Yes. Thumbs up. Good. So we'll finish at 12:15, okay? So that the technical upgrade thing will take place. But wherever you are, don't touch the dial at all. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Enjoy this music whilst I take a sip of some water. This is from the Zongo Man, where though the elections have been postponed, but we think that the best way forward is just to use the ballot box. But whether the BVAs are going to be working the way they're supposed to is another question. It does happen in all the African countries. What do you think about all that? Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
You've got
Empowerment is always key to development. Doing good outreach under the auspices of His Royal Highness Osi Ejatakbo VII presents Avatime Youth Empowerment Outreach 2023 with the theme Run to Jesus, Your Only Savior, Acts 10 verse 38. Date is Saturday the 26th of March to Saturday April 1st, 2023. Below are the dates and venues. 27th March, Avatime Vanne Community Center. 28th March, Avatime Amechokwe Market Square. 29th is Avatime Jokwepeme Primary School Compound. 30th March, Avatime Biakpa Community Center. 31st March, Avatime Bajame Community Center. Then April 1st is Avatime Fume and Jokwe Community Center. The time is 6:30 p.m. every day. Speakers: Reverend Michael K.M. Isiama.
We have redemption. We have been redeemed from the iniquities of the past. So you don't need to beg anymore. Oh, in Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God.
Reverend Samuel Avagame and Reverend Prince Mawali Ejay kindly consider with a generous heart donating to this noble cause financially, materially, or with your time and presence. Note, there will be free health screening during the day for all. Contact us on WhatsApp 0044 7851 205 626 or on mobile 054 959 1452 054 959 1452 or email us at admin@powerwordint.co.uk.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Let me announce the lines open and let's continue with the program. Okay, so if you want to join in the conversation this morning, it's very simple. Just dial in 0208-133-2257 or 580208 133-2257 or 58. Now, if you happen to be in the Caribbean or the US or Canada area, it is 001-718-303-2737. 001-718-303-2737. 001-718-303-2737. And then if you want to text or WhatsApp at 07539661744, 07539661744. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. Do your best, just get in touch and let your voice be heard as well. It is Starr. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Okay. Now, Burundi's homosexuality crackdown. 24 people prosecuted. It's one of the stories making the round after interrogations which lasted about 10 days. 17 men and 7 women were charged with homosexual practices and incitement to homosexuality. Well. So that's some of the stories making the rounds there. And then moving on straight to Tunisia, where the Tunisia president statement has brought about the abuse of black Africans in that part of the world. The story says the Tunisia president hosted on Wednesday, that was yesterday, his counterpart from Guinea-Bissau. The visit to Tunis of the ECOWAS chairman came and amid racist attacks targeting sub-Saharan migrants in the North African nation. Now, during the National Security Council last month, President Kai Said link undocumented immigrants to violence and crimes. Now, from the Carthage Palace, he denied racism, insisting on his will to uphold the law. There is the Tunisian state, the sovereign Tunisian legality concerning the status of foreigners. Even though they are brothers, they may not have Tunisian nationality, but they are our brothers. I believe that any country wouldn't accept parallel jurisdiction to states' jurisdictions. Now, rights group have reported a spike in vigilante violence, including stabbings of black Africans since the president's initial comments, while migrants saw or say they have been thrown out of their dwellings en masse and handed over to mob justice. And it's a very sad one, because the situation is, if somebody is walking up the street, you don't know whether the person is documented or not documented because of the color of the skin, and everybody or whoever who wants to perpetrate such ill just thinks, I mean, you know what they do, how they think, cuckoos, and they just go on to do it. And I say, that's what Gary Lineker have been talking about. Now, this was what brought about the extermination of the Jews in Germany. That's how it all started. That is how it all started. Just when you cannot actually go about your duty, do the things that you're supposed to do, then when things are turning or getting bad, then you just point accusing finger. It is all the migrants who are in this country who are doing so. So people don't care whether the person is legal or illegal or whatever you want to term them, and all that they do is so that, it's because of you that we are suffering, we want you out of our country, or we want that, and then they go on in that part. And that is why Gary Lineker is coming from, making that statement pertaining to the statement that has been made by the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, the move by the Conservative Party. Though we know that it's not all the Conservative parties who are in on it, but you ask yourself the question, when such statements are being made, again, somebody will say that, what do we do under such circumstances? We just leave everybody, okay, open doors policy, everybody. Somebody tell you, no, that will not work as well. We will be bringing, we will just allow anybody and anyone to come in. So there should be some way of scrutinizing whoever is coming in, but the right thing has to be done. Now, Zimbabwe's tobacco output on the rise. The South African country now wants to make its tobacco industry more lucrative by manufacturing more cigarettes at home and limiting foreign. So they want to encourage people to be smoking. Remember back in the day, I think was the latter part of last year when we had Japan saying that, well, is it like people are not drinking any longer, so they were encouraging the youth to go out to go and drink so that they can get taxes from the alcohol. So they we're saying that taxes that they were making out of alcohol dropped, and therefore now they were encouraging people, go out, go and drink. And I said, what is the effect or the impact of drinking on the economy as a whole? At times we don't look at things holistically, because if people drink and then they get, I'm not saying that if you drink you get ill, no, but those who abuse the drink, okay, let me put it that way, they end up getting ill, maybe having liver cirrhosis and all stuff. Those get addicted to it and all stuff, and unruly behaviors and uncouth behaviors and all that, because they are drunk. They didn't see what they are doing. People who lose their life because they are drunk and they are still driving, and lots of things that happen from that. But they were looking at the money. They were looking at here and now and saying that, what, guys, come on, get out there, go and drink so that we can charge you some more money. But if you're a wise person, you know what to do. Is that you want my money, and I'm going to come out there for you so that you can take my money. I can be at home and do whatever. Well. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Zimbabwe says, well, our tobacco output is on the rise. We're going to manufacture more cigarettes at home. Yes, and we just limit the foreign ones that are coming through, so that people, we can make money out of that. Well, of course, if they are smoking the foreign cigarettes, now why don't you manufacture some at home for them, so that you save that foreign exchange for that? What about that? People will get some work to do and make some more money. The farmers will make money, the manufacturers will make money, and the smokers will also lose some money there. But it's all Starr Radio UK. 2 minutes past the top of the hour at the time. I got another about 30 minutes because of the technical team taking over for the upgrade work to take place there. But this evening there's going to be a repeat broadcast of BB Clement's program at 6 o'clock, and then KB Botsman will be coming your way at 7 with the Property Hour show. So stay tuned and don't you go away at all. But now let's move on straight to one other story making the rounds. Oh my. This instant justice thing, we've been saying that it's not on. It's not on. Because information that is coming through at the moment says that, well, it came in at 11:43, and it's saying that a young man has been lynched at Asafo in Kumasi after he was accused of attempting to steal a bus at the VIP station in the area. The deceased, believed to be in his 30s, reportedly broke into one of the buses, VIP branded bus, and drove it away. Now, the bus conductor saw this and jumped onto a motorbike to give him a hot chase. According to the Dadia Swaba Assembly member, Akwesi Ajiman, the conductor, while on chase, sounded the alarm and some residents joined in. Now, when he got to the GRA office, the hill there, he needed to climb, but because the bus also moves with air and apparently there was not enough air to keep it going, and because he didn't get the chance to fill it with air before moving it, he got stuck, and the mate was able to catch up with him. Mr. Ajiman told some networks in Ghana. The growing mob subsequently caught the suspect after another desperate attempt to flee the scene. When the mates shouted to attract the crowd, he attempted to get down and run away. He tried going back but ran into someone's vehicle, so people came and beat him up. The mob beat him up. His remains have been deposited at the morgue by the police in Asokwa. And that's a sad one, because I say instant justice is not the way forward. What made this man go on this path? How desperate is he? What is pushing him to behave that way? If he is, what exactly is going on? But well, you go still. That's the consequences. But what do you think? More are going to be coming your way. Let's touch on one other story, and then we continue. And this time round pertaining to the State of the Nation address by the President of Ghana, let me try to see. Well, okay, let me just touch on this one briefly, quickly. Now, the NDC has suspended all parliamentary campaign activities of sitting MPs so that they can concentrate and see to do the work. But let me bring you details on that. The National Democratic Congress has suspended with immediate effect all campaign activities of sitting members of parliament till the end of the month, that is March 31. In a statement released by the party and signed by its National Secretary, Fifi Fiavi Kwete, it indicated that following a meeting by the party's Functional Executive Committee on Tuesday, March 7, the decision was reached. It further noted that decisions is in solidarity with the minority caucus in Parliament and is dubbed Operation Save Our Democracy, because they want to have full sitting in Parliament so that whatever cases that is being seen to will be seen to properly. Okay, so that's what they hope to do. That's why they are, per the directive, all campaign activities in all constituencies with sitting NDC MPs are hereby suspended. All sitting NDC MPs shall be required to attend all parliamentary sittings. No NDC MP shall undertake any travel that will affect his or her attendance in Parliament. Any MP who have travel is hereby recalled immediately. And the fifth one says all regional and constituency executives and aspirants are directed to ensure strict compliance with directives therein. All parliamentary aspirants are hereby directed to, in their own interest, to strictly adhere to these directives, as a breach of same shall attract severe sanctions. Well, good luck to them, because they think that that's the way forward. And well, why not? Let them do what they're supposed to do. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. But well, minority teases Bawumia during 2023 SONA. Vice President Dr. Muhammad Bawumia had his fair share of teasing from the opposition side in Parliament when he was introduced by Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagben on Wednesday, March 8. Now, Speaker, before the presentation of the State of the Nation's address by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, acknowledged and introduced dignitaries present in the House. Among those names was the Vice President Dr. Bawumia. His Excellency the Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia Gbagben said, and in response, the majority side in Parliament chanted, "Yeah, yeah." Right after this, minority members followed with their version of chants. What a solid team! What a solid team! They said. Well, they are saying that, being sarcastic there, because they think that if this was a solid team, how come the country finds itself in this downdrams? Well, it is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, when it comes to some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well, UN is warning as Ukraine nuclear plant loses power. As I did say earlier on, a UN official has issued an urgent warning after the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant lost off-site power following fresh Russian strikes. Now, this cannot go on. Rafael Grossi told the board of governors of the UN nuclear watchdog in a strongly worded statement. More than 80 Russian missiles were fired at Ukraine in a sustained overnight barrage, the biggest for weeks, with at least 9 people killed. Now, Ukraine military says it managed to shoot down 34 of these, and that 8 drones were also involved. Now, at least 5 people were killed in the western region of Lviv, and the president Volodymyr Zelensky decried Moscow's wretched tactics there. Well, but what is the IAEA chief saying, and how are they going to react to that? Are they going to just say, "Oh, it's a war, we don't want to interfere"? And what are they actually going to be doing if they really, really, really want to interfere in that as well? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, one other story from there as well. Now, Georgia ruling party has said it will withdraw a controversial draft law in the face of mass protests and widespread international criticism. Now, thousands of protesters have taken to the street in Tbilisi this week in anger as a Russian-style law began its passage through parliament. Now, under the bill, non-government groups and media will be targeted if they take over 20% of funding from abroad. The main ruling party said it was pulling the bill unconditionally, describing itself as a party of government responsible to all members of society. Georgian Dream referred to the need to reduce confrontation in society. Now, Georgia has applied for candidate status of European Union and sought to join NATO. Now, EU officials have condemned the draft legislation as incompatible with EU values. In a statement, the EU delegation in Georgia said the move to drop the law was a welcome announcement and encouraged political leaders to resume pro-EU reforms. Well, it is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Is it because of that the Russians decided that, look, if you not let us have Georgia as we intended to, then let's go on the path where we're going to unleash a venom on Ukraine that we've got already. What do you think? It's Starr Radio UK. Now, let's touch on this story before we come to the UK front. Now, U.S. black couple settles lawsuit over whitewashed home valuation. Now, what's that story about? I remember when I was introducing that, Francis was laughing. Now, a U.S. black couple has settled a lawsuit with a real estate appraiser whom they accuse of giving their home a low valuation because of their race. Now, Tanisha Tate Austin and Paul Austin's house was valued in 2020 at nearly $1 million, that is $845,000, much less than expected. Then asked for an appraiser with another firm, this time with a white friend posing as the California homeowner. It was valued at nearly $1.5 million. Now, according to official figures, 92.4% of home appraisers are white. Now, in 2021, the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation released a study of 12 million appraisals over 5 years, showing that homes in black and Hispanic neighborhoods were routinely undervalued. Now, Miss Tate Austin and Mr. Austin bought the house in 2016 in the San Francisco suburb of Marin City for about $550,000. Now the city has a large African American population, that's 38%, compared with the predominantly white Marin County, where it is situated, in which only 2.8% of the population is black. In 2020, when interest rates were historically low, the couple decided to refinance their mortgage. Now, the year before, a company had appraised their 4-bedroom property for $1,450,000 after they made major improvements, including adding square footage. But when they decided to refinance again in 2020 to take advantage of low rates, they were appraised for just $995,000. So they came up with an experiment. What if their friend, a white woman, posed as the homeowner instead? They removed all traces of themselves from their home, including their African-themed artwork and their photographs. The process is known as whitewashing. Now, the black homeowners across the country have reported doing it in order to sell their properties. Now, several weeks after their first estimate, a different appraiser told the house for the decoy white home owner. This time it was appraised at $1.482,500, almost $500,000 more than initial estimate. Oh my goodness! So we are damned if you don't. You are damned if you're not. It's interesting. My goodness. But when somebody said that in that area, maybe the person is looking at the community that you live in. But it's not like they took the house from where it's situated and planted it at another place for these people to do that, Marginalization, interesting. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story, and then we bring the program to a close for today. It is around from the banter that seems to be going on between Gary Lineker and the government. Now the story says Gary Lineker has said he does not fear BBC suspension in an impartiality row over a tweet criticizing the government's asylum policy. Asked by reporters outside his home whether he stood by his tweets, the Match of the Day host said, "Course." Now, Lineker had compared the language the government used to set out asylum plans to that used by Germany in the 30s. Now, the culture secretary said the presenter's tweets were disappointing and inappropriate. Now, Lucy Fraser said it was important for the BBC to retain impartiality if it is to retain the trust of the public who pay the license fee. The BBC said on Wednesday it was having a frank conversation with Lineker about the BBC's guidelines on remaining impartial. Now, he's saying that, look, I didn't present that. It's not when I was on my program and I decided to say, you know what, I'm on the sports program that I do, and this is my take on particular issue. He didn't say anything of that sort. When it comes to his presenting of his own program, he's impartial. However, they reckon that he is becoming partial here by critiquing government's policy or government way of language that was used, and he's looking at it from that point. Say that, no, I don't think you are using a good language for that. Well, I remember back in the day, the Home Secretary saying that, people, migrants are invading. I remember somebody too said like swarms back in the day, and it's all being critiqued. Now, so what is wrong with what he's saying? If you think that the language that is being used sets the tone for like what happened in Germany in the 30s, what is wrong with that? That is his analysis. If you think you don't agree with him, come out with yours. After all, there's freedom of speech. After all, of course, it does comes with responsibility. But what do you think about all that? Well, this is why I bring the program to a close, because I know they're standing there. I can see them. But let's move on. Let me bring you this tune, and then we'll bring the program to a close for today. But I promise you, tomorrow we're going to be having a time. Myself, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki, and Mr. Dantabiri will be coming your way with a Friday edition of the morning show. But on that note, let me say, have a wonderful, wonderful, jubbly day. wherever you might be, and enjoy this tune from Ejabia. It's a cover version of a Koju Enchi's song, Made of Upa Unjumune Boy. And when that song ends and you don't hear from me, there's been me, your one and only Archie, saying, have a top of the day. May Nigeria not happen to you, and bye-bye for now.
Made of power, made of power,
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Masobia no pa me hu famio oda pomitiam menya meka sema bemo bua.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Made of power, made of power, made of kuma padeno opo piani nitie semenya mitofuya minchiche nasio so fresh mapa bitini jene beko shanwe